the right to say what I do with my body.
Let me ask you something. If a pregnant woman is killed and the baby dies too, why is the killer charged with a double homicide?
Well, because people have different beliefs. And
It's not about belief, it's about truth. Science confirms life begins at conception.
Oh.
Yes, it does, South Park, Charlie Kirk. Good morning, pineapples.
Good morning,
looking very good and very nice.
Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple.
Somebody tell Brad that it's
Looking
Thursday
very good,
today.
very
He was having a bad morning this morning. He thought yesterday was Thursday. Man, this happens to me all the time. Sorry, Brad. What's up, Barney Styles? Drew Van Runkle, Grizz Cheese, Caleb Vanderfelts. Nice to see everybody here. L Dubs is here as well. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Petersen. And around here, we like to say rise and freedom. Another beautiful day in America. I'm glad you decided to spend your morning with me. I'm thankful that you're here with us live. Or maybe listening to us later. Amy J.E.'s even managed to slide on into our comments. Good morning, patriots, simps, skeptics, and the last 5 guys in America who still know how to change a tire. Ike, give it a shits. You are tuned in to Wake Up America. I am your host, Austin Petersen. It's the only morning show that tells you the truth and then slaps you across the face with it. Lovingly, of course. Today is Thursday, August the 7th, one of the year 1 of the Trump reascension. And we've got a show that's more explosive than a group chat full of conservative e-girls arguing about who has the smallest diamond and the biggest virtue. That's right. World War III has broken out. Not between Russia and NATO, not between China or Taiwan, but between Emily, Pearl, Morgan Ariel, and Sarah Stock over a wedding ring. No! They're ripping each other's hair out online. What does this have to teach us about anything, Austin? Is this just another grift? We're going to talk about Tradfluencer grifting culture this morning. What says, because what says traditional values like a nuclear grade Instagram meltdown? You know what there's such good traditional conservatives. It's very traditional, this behavior. Hey, what could be more traditional than women ripping each other's hair out just now in the digital realm? This morning, we're going to dive headfirst into the world of conservative clout chasers, where virtue signaling is just foreplay, and half the content is a Bible quote posted 2 inches above a bikini line. Down 316 with my lovely tiddly nipples. Jesus would love it when you're horny. It's the Tradwife Hunger Games, and we're naming names. But don't worry, gentlemen, you're not off the hook either, because behind every one of these online grifts is a small militia of chronically online simps throwing money, compliments, and clicks at women who would rather marry their engagement rings than a man with a job. Am I right? Right. Dad Bod Baboon hanging out. Kermode Bears here, mooing in the chat. Guys, don't forget to click that like button. Ladies, too, it's all for you. Just click that like button and come back and join us if you're not a regular guest. Become one by clicking the follow button over there on the Rumble stream. When you click the follow button, you'll know when we go live, which is every 5 Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. That's 7 to 9 a.m. Central, Monday through Friday. Rumble.com/AP for Liberty, the Wake Up America show, where we sometimes have more serious subjects, but I always use topics like these as a hook, a news hook, to get you to listen so I can talk to you about things that are actually important, like the Diamond Beers Cartel Corporation. Yeah, that's right. A little conspiracy theorizing this morning. BB for Liberty, he dropped $3 in the tip jar to see the bonus content. We'll get there. Thank you, BB. It just goes right to your paycheck anyway. We have a whole like circumnavigation of it, and Rumble gets a little too. And did I mention the rings that started this fight? Of course, because it was all about what the size of an engagement ring is what blew this up. We're going to talk about rings and diamonds this morning. So one of the biggest rackets in modern economic history. We're going to expose the De Beers diamond cartel. Explain how marketing convinced you to destroy your credit score for a rock that your wife will probably throw at your head in 5 years. and offer a more libertarian approach to marriage, love, liberty, and living within your means. No! That's the real hit the scream button. Then in segment 2 this morning, I'm going to go solo again, this time to bury what's left of Howard Stern. It's very sad. Sad to see. Aww. The king of all media is now the king of all masks and mandates. He went woke, abandoned his fans, and now even Trump is calling for the plug to be pulled. I'll walk you through Stern's tragic transformation from cultural rebel to corporate court jester and why authenticity beats obedience every single time. Size matters. Size matters. Yeah, I give it a shit. Must be falling drama. Size matters. At 8 a.m. this morning, Camellia Petersen will join us to confirm whether or not size actually matters. Camelia's going to blush. This is like the perfect make Camellia blush topic. She's going to talk to us about the grift economy of those tradfluencers, why some of them are selling virtue like it's a buy one, get one offer at Hobby Lobby, and how the libertarian right can push back against the parasocial plague of algorithmic narcissism. It's going to be a damn good show today, guys. I'm not even done with the intro. Hurry up, hurry up. And finally at 8:30, the one and only Daniela Pensack will help us break down the most insane political headlines of the week. A Trump staffer with the nickname Big Balls, I kid you not, Big Balls, was actually assaulted in D.C. after attempting to defend a woman from being violently attacked. Trump is now talking about calling in the National Guard to police the streets of one of America's most dangerous cities. It just also happens to be our national capital. We're going to talk about masculinity, branding, the war on swagger, and whether or not vibe-based deterrence is a legit fight strategy. And remember, guys, if we raise $75 today, you unlock a 5-minute mini documentary just for you guys. And if we raise $100, I'm really excited about this one, guys. Drum roll, please. I have every sound effect but a drum roll here. If we raise $100, we're going to go full Hogwarts for our Defense Against the Dark Arts class. It's a choose your own adventure that you get to pick. So if we manage to raise $100 in Rumble Rants or in purchases at forlibertyshop.com, then you guys are going to get to see that sweet, sweet Defense Against the Dark Arts bonus content. And today's class will not be taught by me, but by a surprise guest who is now waiting in the wings to come in and do the class for you. It is a guest professor, and now that the Defense of the Dark Arts class is becoming something more of a permanent staple of the Wake Up America show, we have now got a whole host of potential guest professors who will be teaching the class for you. So today's guest professor, if we unlock the bonus content, will be Professor Scorchius von Mises. And he is a baby dragon. And I hope that you will all offer him the same kindness that you treat me with. But again, you only get to see meet the professor and take the class and have us cast the transportation spell on you, the audience, today, if we raise $100 in Rumble Rants. So if you guys would like to see today's Defense Against the Dark Arts class, learn again how to teach against the evil hexes of authoritarianism, then get those Rumble Rants in there just like BB for Liberty, or visit the grift shop at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. Today's choices, you can vote on the Defense Against the Dark Arts class if it is unlocked with the link that is in the top of the description of the comments over there on Rumble. So head on over there if you would like to participate, and we'll be very grateful for your kind custom. It's Wake Up America, guys. We're going to make you stronger, slighter, slightly more dangerous before 9 a.m. You guys ready? Let's go. Okay. Pour your Founding Flavors coffee, guys. Let's go. Tighten your belt. Turn on your sim sensors. It's time for a segment so spicy it should come with a pair of oven mitts and a prenup. Let's talk about the conservative e-girl war that exploded on X this week. And I'm not exaggerating when I say it looked like World War III Tradwife edition. It all started with a tweet from Sarah Stock. She's like one of those influencers. I've gotten to the point now where I just mute anytime there's the new, we call them booby conservatives these days. Anytime there's a new booby conservative, I just mute him. So I didn't see this post until later because I have no offense to Sarah Stock. Maybe she's a nice girl, but I can spot the e-girl, the conservative booby streamer e-girl grift coming a mile away. And they churn these things out like they're in a lab or something like this, right? And for them, it's like they're perpetually They're always perpetually in a pageant, always competing like they're in a pageant. Thank you, Y2 Joe. Cha-ching. It reminds me a little bit of one of my favorite movies ever made. And when I say favorite, I mean top 10 of all time, up there with like Orson Welles and stuff. This movie. One of the nice things about being live and doing the show all by yourself is that whenever there's a technical issue or something like that, the audience will tell you, and there's nobody to fix it but you. And you have to do it live in front of the entire audience. That's what makes this show so much fun. So, for example, Drew Van Ruckle says that my mic is popping. Nothing too embarrassing. Now, popping, that may sound like it's clear to you. If you were to listen, just think about it from my point of view. If you're live, think about you're sitting in Austin's chair right now, okay? You got a million buttons in front of you, and you haven't changed a damn thing since yesterday, but all of a sudden your mic is making weird noises. You have no idea what. Again, you've changed nothing. You've twaddled with no settings at all. Right, and someone tells you your mic is popping. What would you think that means that your mic is popping? I'm just put yourself in my position. I have to turn off the button, the popping button. You know what I'm saying? Like I have no idea what the hell that means. Popping. Does that mean the compression settings are too compressed? I have no idea. We're all just doing our best out here. Well, anyways, back to the story. So this all started, this e-girl drama. This e-girl crackle. Somebody says it's crackling like little Rice Krispies. Well, that's really terrible news. But I see what it might be actually. Sometimes if it comes into contact, if the thing comes into contact with an electric plug, you guys tell me if that's any better. If it's not, then I don't know, and I've got to move on. So yeah, the conservative e-girl war exploded on X this week, and it looked like World War III. It all started with a tweet from Sarah Stock. Is the sound bad enough that I need to go away? I need to go get a different microphone because I can. It's the Rice Krispie button. Hit the Rice Krispie button. Yes, there you go. This is like what happens when you're on stage, Steven. Somebody forgets their lines or something. Things are all messing up. Snap, crackle, and pop. Austin, better for you than someone said something was popping and meant something cool was going down. All right, so I'm just going to go fiddle with the settings, and if I can't fix it, I'll have to change the microphone. So enjoy my embarrassment as I put you guys to the standby screen. I'll be right back. Hey guys, so the only way to test something like this is to test it live. Unfortunately, in order to do something like this, I would have to be not live to be able to listen to it myself. I sound fine to me in my ears. I need a thumbs up from you in the chat, or I need a thumbs down, or whatever it is that you can say to communicate to let me know how things sound. It sounded like electronic interference. That could be such a million things. But I changed my microphone channel. Tell me if it's loud enough. Tell me if it's clear enough. Tell me if it's crackling or not. Would love to hear from you in the chat ASAP so I can just move on and move past this embarrassing moment in the live stream. Still crackling. It's intermittent, not horrible. There's really no way for me to fix something like that without stopping down the stream and going. When you say it's crackling still. Okay, well, good to know. All right, well, I'll tell you what, guys. I'm going to try one more time to put you on standby. If it's too annoying, then I may just have to cancel the show today. We'll see. I'll be right back. All right, I don't think that I fixed it. I turned the gain down, and maybe that'll take some of the edge off of the crackle there. But if it's too annoying for you guys today, I'll have to just mess with it, and we'll try and fix it later. But I'm just going to plow on ahead, and you guys will have to deal with it, okay? Okay, we're going to just not worth canceling for sure. There you go. Sounds better? Okay, there you go. Sounds better. Bongino's Jelly of Austin. Highly doubt that. Well, maybe he is, honestly. Dan Bongino probably is so miserable there at the FBI. He probably does wish he was back here podcasting. He'd be making millions. All right, just go with it, buddy. You're good. Yeah, here we go. All right, guys. So back to the news. All right, so this war online started with a diamond and one girl complaining about the size of another girl's diamond, suggesting that what really matters is the size of your diamond. And Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire stepped in and said he never understood the diamond thing. And I said, hey, this is a perfect topic, right? The other influencer who was attacking her, we'll call her Jealous in Jesus Land. She made a snide remark about the ring being small. And then that one comment cracked the earth like a Waffle House fight video at 2 a.m. So, and the next thing you know, you've got Emily, Pearl Davis, Morgan Ariel, and what looked like half of Turning Point USA's unofficial Mean Girls Club duking it out in public. There are accusations of being single. You have HIV/AIDS. You have HPV. You got fingered dang orangutan in public at a TPUSA event. You're divorced. You're a single mom. You sleep with black men, which is apparently a big no in Turning Point USA circles. All before breakfast. It's hilarious. Let me be clear though. I don't care how big your rock is. Truth is, I care about how strong your marriage is. But these women have turned traditional values into a cage match for clout. It's like the pageant where everybody's wearing MAGA ball gowns and throwing Bibles like dodgeballs, right? Or it reminds me a little bit of this. One of these girls tweeted that we are not the same. I'm marrying a Christian alpha. You're just dating around. It's like they're all competing in this pageant that I should keep showing you clips from. Drop Dead Gorgeous, one of the best movies ever made. All right, so this all sounds like petty drama, and you're probably wondering, why are we talking about this? But this isn't just a cat fight. This is about branding warfare. Because the truth that most folks won't say out loud about this, a lot of these women aren't building homes. They're building follower counts. They're not selling values. They're selling parasocial intimacy with a side of cleavage and scripture. Let's read the Bible and you can look at my tits. You know how many men would just jump off a cliff if a woman said something like that to him? They cry, submission to Christ and to my boyfriend in one post, and then they show off the thigh gaps in the next post, right? This is OnlyFans with a cross. You missed 100% of the Bajas you don't blast. Oh my God, that is too much. All right, before you think about picking on the ladies too much, let me just say, and I think Camellia would be proud and happy to hear me say this, as disgusting a topic as this is. Before you think I'm just picking on the ladies, all right, let's talk about the guys because behind every pick me grift account is a brigade of simps ready to fall on their swords for a woman who wouldn't look at them twice if they saw each other at church or prison. Depends on what part of the manosphere you're from. If you're a Tate fan, you're waiting for guys outside of prison. You lust after the men who just got out of jail or hanging out. Listen. Who are they listening to? And it won't be long. And Johnny Paycheck. The type of guys having that in their Ford pickup. Probably beats the hell out of her, but she loves him anyway. I'm a single mom who works 2 jobs, who loves her kids and never stops with a heart of a fighter. Right, the kind of chicks who see themselves as Reba McEntire. No, and I'm Bert Gummer from Tremors, and that's me. I'm with the preppers. Influencer, about as meaningful and useful a job as activist. Hey, hold on now. Let's not throw out any babies with bathwaters. I love you, baby. A brigade of simps, right? These dudes aren't just simping. They're funding the whole e-girl economy. They repost, they defend these women like they're auditioning to be the next simp martyr in a trad martyrdom documentary. It's sad, it's embarrassing, and frankly, it's why we can't have nice things, all right? It's like these two gentlemen.
Do you judge the pageant?
These are the type of guys who pay for the OnlyFans.
Do you judge the pageant acquitted?
I love you, baby. Rise and freedom. Welcome to the Wake Up America show, guys. All right, so let's get real. Let's talk about what started this whole thing. The ring, right? Gentlemen, if you're about to propose, this is your cue to listen closely. You might have been conned. Diamonds are not rare. They are a racket. Enter the De Beers diamond cartel that convinced generations of men, if you don't spend now 3 months' salary on a rock, then you didn't really love her, right? Spoiler alert, diamonds are actually not rare. They're actually artificially restricted by the De Beers monopoly. The value is completely fabricated by marketing. In 1938, De Beers hired ad firm N.W. Iyer to sell the idea that a diamond is forever. It wasn't about love. It was about conditioning men to, it was about conditioning men to prove their worth through debt. By the 1980s, the 3-month salary rule was entrenched in pop culture. Today, it's social pressure, corporate propaganda, and influencing nonsense rolled into one sparkling scam. Do you know what's forever? Debt. Womp womp. Debt is forever. You want a libertarian marriage? Skip the debt, build wealth, and spend 3 months' salary on an asset like a down payment or therapy, or how about ammunition? And here's a radical thought. I mean, if your love can be measured in carats, it probably can't survive a recession, right? This whole thing, this e-girl cat fight, the diamond scam, the simps in the comments, it all reveals a bigger truth. We're living in the age of algorithm, where attention is the currency and virtue signaling is the grift. And if we don't wise up, the liberty movement's going to be hijacked by a bunch of trad influencers who can't boil an egg, but can quote Jordan Peterson between selfies. You want real tradition? Build a real family. Build a business. Build a life that doesn't necessarily require internet validation, he said very hypocritically. Yes, the microphone is crackling to you guys, but to me it sounds perfectly crystal clear. Before we head to break, guys, let me remind you, if you hit $75 in rants or shop purchases today, we're going to unlock a special 5-minute mini doc produced by our in-house wizardry team. And if we hit $100, we're going to head back to the castle for our daily Defense Against the Dark Arts class. Today's lesson choices are A, the Data Dementor, how studies show became the most powerful spell in the regime's arsenal, or B, the Compassion Curse, how emotional blackmail is used to turn kindness into control. So the more you support us, guys, the better these classes get. And yes, we're adding new props, new sound effects, new visuals, and eventually maybe even a talking libertarian owl. He's unionizing, but we're negotiating. So keep an eye out there. So don't wait. Drop a rant. Grab some gear at thegriftshop.com. Help us keep fighting the dark arts of statism, griftism, and diamond cartel propaganda. This is Wake Up America, guys. Take a breath. Let's go. Wipe the glitter and Bible quotes off your feet, and let's pivot from e-girl apocalypse to the cultural hospice ward, where one man is currently flatlining in real time. That's Howard Stern. We'll be right back to talk about that as I go to a break so I can listen to what you guys are hearing. Big facts. Couldn't wait for them to show up. The good old days. Brindle Berry, yes. We'll be right back. Enjoy the commercials. It's the Wake Up America show. I'm going to go fiddle with the mics.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian, and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy?
And we're back, and I'm going to do a little testity, and we're going to see if we get a crackly. Are we crackly, or are we normally? Are we crackly, normally? You drop them in the chat, let us know. Are we crackly, or are we normally? We're doing a little microphone test, and I'm sorry that 100 people have to be watching me live while I do that. Are we still crackly, or are we normally? Crackly, or normally? Let me know, and I'll be a very grazie, molto bene. Crackly, normally. Crackly, normally. Slightly crackly. God damn it.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Little crackly still. Just let me know. I'm going to be pushing little buttons there, and let me know if it improves or if it gets even worse. I just turned off all of the sound settings, so I was wondering if maybe something like that was punching it out. Sorry to have to do this to you guys live. I normally try and create a beautiful show from end to end, but every once in a while, gremlins crack in. It's the commies, AP. Very true. Thank you, Y2 Joe. Shall I continue? We're going to talk about Howard Stern this morning, the once untouchable, uncancelable king of all media. He's now been reduced to a frightened little man broadcasting from his germ-proof panic room like a hypochondriac bunker baby with a podcast. He's gone from interviewing strippers and porn stars to whispering sweet nothings to Fauci, sobbing into a microphone about masks, and demanding more censorship for misinformation. This isn't an evolution for Stern. This is just a complete turnaround from what he was back in the day. It's just a damn shame because he used to be someone who was cutting edge, and now he is far, far behind the curve. At least Howard Stern has microphone engineers. My broke ass in the shoe closet in Jefferson City, Missouri. The New York Post has been begging him to pull the plug on his own show. Howard Stern's show may be ending. Put it out of its misery, writes the New York Post. Howard Stern no longer entertaining. He's actually kind of exhausting if you listen to him. Let's talk facts. SiriusXM paid Stern $500 million to create uncensored, no-holds-barred radio. But after COVID hit, Howard locked himself in his house, refused to interact with his guests in person, and transformed into a paranoid cat lady with a working soundboard. Ratings tanked, listeners fled, and even Trump just said it best. He went woke and nobody listens to him anymore. And that's it right there. Howard Stern went woke, and his audience didn't come with him because they weren't there for political obedience. They were there for rebellion. He used to punch up. Now he punches down, usually at the same kind of working class people who built his career in the first place. I mean, Howard used to mock authority. Now he mimics it. He used to ask the questions that no one dared. Now he echoes the answers that everyone's forced to repeat. This is a man who once bragged about putting a butt on a Bible just to get a rise out of the FCC. Now he's out here defending government censorship, whining about disinformation, and calling people dangerous for refusing to wear a cloth over their mouth at a Walgreens. So what happened? Power happened. See, Howard always wanted to be taken seriously by the same people that he mocked. And once the elites opened the door, once they gave him a seat next to Colbert or the invite to the Obama party, the nod from the New York Times, he caved. He became what every rebel dies inside trying to be, respected by the regime. It's true. Here's the real lesson. When rebels become royalty, they lose their edge. And then what's worse is they try to police the next generation. I mean, Howard Stern isn't just irrelevant. He's actively hostile to what he used to stand for, right? Free speech? No. Uncensored comedy? Gone. Anti-establishment fire? Gone. Extinguished. All right, Howard now represents the final sad form of cultural rebellion. He's a neutered mascot for the very institutions that he once terrified. The real punk rock now is not on satellite radio. It's right here on Rumble or on X. It's in podcast garages, Liberty networks, shoe closets, live streams. This show right here. Thank you, Quest. Where people still say what they mean what they say, even if it gets them demonetized or shadow banned or thrown off TikTok, or even if they have crackly mics. So let me be clear with this. I'm not dancing on the grave of an old man. I'm dancing on the grave of what he allowed himself to become. Because Howard Stern didn't get old. He got obedient. He didn't get wise. He got safe. And in the business of media, safety is death. Comedy that doesn't offend, radio that doesn't risk, questions that don't challenge, podcasts that don't take risks, right? That's not rebellion, right? That's a regime-approved bedtime stories for grown men with booster schedules. And the worst part of all of this is that he still thinks he's edgy. He still talks like he's pushing boundaries when the only thing he's pushing is MSNBC talking points with a little echo effect and a Sirius XM sticker on top. I'll take a taxation is theft and a crackly mic any day. What do you guys say? Dirty Mike is starting to give me the nod. He says the mustache is very, very slightly growing on me, AP. He's definitely no Magnum PI or Don Fry, but I'm willing to see how it goes. Could I spare a John Stossel, perhaps? Maybe a mini John Stossel. My message to you guys, if you want to stay free, stay dangerous. Don't trade authenticity for respectability. Don't trade truth for access. And don't trade your soul for a blue check and a TV booking. Because what happened to Howard Stern can happen to anyone who forgets that freedom and approval don't live in the same house. All right, guys, it's time to talk. We have had a challenging morning this morning because of some of the microphone issues. We will do everything we can to try and fix that stuff for you guys today. However, I have gone over and above and beyond the call of duty to bring to you today some sweet bonus content. So the bonus content, you don't have to worry about a crackly mic. But when our guest professor comes in to teach the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, Professor Scorchius von Mises will be joining us live today if we unlock our Defense Against the Dark Arts class. If you would like to see and meet Professor Scorchius von Mises, then do me a favor and drop a Rumble rant. If you can't drop Rumble rants, some people are technically challenged. They can get to Rumble, but they have no idea how to do a Rumble rant. You could also visit our grift shop at forlibertyshop.com. Andy Opperman, he knows how to drop a Rumble rant. He just gave $50. Says, I watched in real time as AP got demonetized on YouTube. It's a real wake-up call to fight personally to keep AP in front of a mic, crackly or not. Yes, thank you, Andy. Because I'm rebellious, but I think I just skirt the edge of what the establishment of the regime finds as reasonable or what they'll pull up with. You have to understand that in media, so many media figures, a lot of them, they're bought and paid. And it's not just by the legacy media networks. They certainly are. With legacy media networks, they come in and they talk to the owners and they say, we want to buy, thousands of dollars. We're going to pay thousands of dollars in order to buy like endorsements of your talents, from your talent to endorse what ostensibly many times is like freaking political candidates. And of course, what do you think happens in the podcast world? You think it's any different? You think that if a local politician wanted to come in and say, hey, I'm going to pay $1,000. Or maybe you just $1,000 to advertise something. And then the nudge, nudge, wink, wink is you don't, talk smack about them, or you don't go in and endorse the other person in the race. Do you know how often that probably happens? A lot more than you think. And it's sad to see and it's sad to hear. It is difficult to make a business in media if you don't sell out. But when you see people like Andy Opperman out there and they're dropping $50 in the tip jar, it makes a huge difference. And it means we're on almost to unlock our first phase of our bonus content. $75 will unlock our mini documentary. I think we're somewhere at around $60 raised so far, so like another $15 will unlock that bonus content. Then phase 2 is again our Professor Scorchius von Mises will come and join us today, a guest who is waiting in the wings, and he will teach our Defense Against the Dark Arts class for you today. He will take over for that class if we raise $100, right? So stick around, folks. We're gonna talk about all of that. We're gonna take a quick little commercial break. My next guest will be Camellia Petersen. She's gonna talk about the conservative e-girl drama. And we're going to talk about the age of the grift, where clout chasers wear the costume of trad values to sell you crypto codes, protein shakes, and identity in a box. Camellia, she's smart, she's sharp, she's not afraid to take the scalpel to the entire scene. And don't forget, we are tracking ransom purchases right now. We'll be back. It's a Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
Here at Alligator Alcatraz, the fence keeps them in. But slip up, and you're on my plate.
Looks like breakfast is making a run for it. We got 3 hot meals trying to check out early from Alligator Alcatraz.
They can splash, they can sprint, but there's no escaping Alligator Alcatraz. Caught 2. The third? Huh. The swamp's got its own way of catching runaways.
Mama was wrong. Gators don't need toothbrushes. Just an honest job making America great again.
This summer isn't about sunscreen and safe spaces. It's about liberty, laughs, and looking like a red, white, and righteous badass. Welcome to the Summer of Freedom collection. Beach towels bold enough to trigger a liberal arts professor. Tank tops louder than a 4th of July fireworks finale. And mugs that scream, "Don't tread on my caffeine." Whether you're storming the sandbar or just grilling like George Washington with a Bluetooth speaker, this is the gear that lets everyone know. You're not here to play woke. You're here to play cornhole with conviction. So crack open a cold one, fire up the freedom, and rock the merch that makes communists cry. The Summer of Freedom is here, and it's absolutely unapologetic. Patriots, listen up. The sun's out, the shades are on, and the Gulf of America is wide open for business. This summer, don't show up to the beach looking like a landlocked liberal. Gear up with the Gulf of America collection. Towels, tumblers, shirts, hats, fanny packs, because nothing says freedom like cannonballing into liberty with style. Whether you're grilling burgers, catching waves, or just flexing on social media, do it draped in stars, stripes, and pure American greatness. The Gulf of America isn't just a place, it's a lifestyle. Hit 4libertyshop.com and roll into summer like the Founding Fathers just handed you the keys to the coast. Beaches, BBQs, and bald eagles approved. You should too. Head over to 4libertyshop.com and get your Gulf of America gear. Summer is coming fast. That's 4libertyshop.com. Imagine bringing George Washington back to life. Just to explain that in 2025, men can get pregnant, waving an American flag might offend someone, and our government is $34 trillion in debt. But that's not all, George. We have drag queen story hour for toddlers. Pronouns are mandatory. And Harvard can't define woman. Oh. And we send billions to Ukraine but can't fix potholes in Ohio. You know, just normal modern empire stuff. I'm sure he'd be totally cool with it. Right after he finishes reloading. He didn't cross the Delaware for this nonsense. But you can carry on the fight with gear that would have made King George cry. Shop bold, shop free, shop 4libertyshop.com. Picture this. It's 1776. Thomas Jefferson is hunched over his desk at Monticello, ink-stained fingers, writing the most radical document in human history. Do you really think he was sipping Starbucks? No. He was drinking something bold, something black, something brewed strong enough to fuel a revolution. That's the spirit behind Founding Flavors, our signature line of liberty-fueled coffee. No soy froth,
No climate guilt, no corporate slogans, just real coffee, inspired by the men who wrote freedom into existence. Every cup is a quiet protest. Against mediocrity, against tyranny, against bad coffee. So this morning, skip the globalist brew. Grab something worthy of a free man's sunrise. Founding Flavors. Now brewing at forlibertyshop.com. Legend has it, back in 1773, a band of angry, overtaxed patriots stormed a British ship, found the king's favorite tea, and said, "This would taste better without the tyranny." Then they tossed it overboard. Fast forward to today. That revolutionary spirit lives on in Boston Harbor Black, the boldest brew in the For Liberty tea lineup. It's dark, it's smooth, it's unapologetically American, just like the folks who drink it. Whether you're sweetening it up on the front porch or drinking it straight like a Minuteman before battle, this isn't tea for royalty, it's tea for rebels. No fake flavors, no corporate slogans, just a cold glass of Don't Tread on Me in liquid form. So skip the woke iced tea aisle and stock up on Boston Harbor Black at forlibertyshop.com. Because when the heat's rising, the least you can do is drink like a patriot. Look, not all t-shirts. When the Founding Fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a red coat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors, and trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com. This is the gear that lets everyone know. You're not here to play woke. You're here to play cornhole with conviction. So crack open a cold one, fire up the freedom, and rock the merch.
So, are you about ready to start the...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wake Up America show, where we're mixing facts with fun, freedom, and frustration, possibly a little Mike Crackle with your Liberty Latte. Now, before Camellia joins us, and she will, fear not, guys, Camellia will be here. I thought I'd take a few minutes to do what I do best, which is to stall like a professional. Some people killed time. I waterboard it. And if you hear a pop, a crackle, maybe a little sizzle, you're not having a stroke, and this is not a Rice Krispies ad. I'm just live troubleshooting like the consummate pro that I am. So let's call this what it is. It's a freedom static test. Patriotism with a pop. So here's the thing they don't tell you when you start a show. It's not just about having something to say. You know, you have to actually also battle the dark arts of audio demons. Noise gates, compressors, limiters, terms that sound like Marvel villains. But really, they're just the gremlins in your Rodecaster whispering, you thought this was just going to be an easy show today. Let's be honest. This mic, this is the glorious Shure SM7B. This is the Cadillac of broadcast microphones. This is the mic that tells your voice, you matter. It's the mic that Michael Jackson actually used to record Thriller. And me, I'm used to saying things, I use it for saying things like, did that sound weird to you too? Oh. But hey, I'm going to take this opportunity to confess something to you. I am not an audio engineer. I'm not even an engineer of my own life decisions most days. I press buttons until the light turns green, and if something goes wrong, I yell, Brad, and then I hope a producer appears like Beetlejuice. So yes, I'm buying time right now, but isn't that kind of what freedom is? Buying a little time to figure things out before the government shows up and taxes your oxygen. So while we're at it, let's do a quick audience poll. Pop in the chat. If you think that this mic pop is a deep state operation, press 1. If it's just me screwing up, press 2. If you believe that this is somehow the fault of the Biden administration, I mean, that's just a given, right? So We live in a time when AI can write Shakespeare, edit video, and order a pizza, but somehow can't make a USB audio device work without popping like a bag of microwave popcorn. You know what this is? This is progress. Anyways, Camellia is going to be here shortly. She's bringing actual insight, so hold on to your Liberty hats. In the meantime, I'm just up here doing my interpretive dance with my waveform, trying to figure out if the crackling you hear is the death rattle of tyranny or just my settings on self-destruct mode. So if my voice sounds weird today, it's not me. It's the phantom power of the bureaucracy reaching through the cables. It's the deep state. So stay tuned, freedom fighters. You're watching Wake Up America, where every glitch is part of the charm. Every pop is a protest, and every delay is just me making time bend to my will like a caffeinated wizard with a roadcaster wand. Let me know in the chat. Do I sound better now, or do I need to sacrifice XLR cable to the podcasting gods? What do you say? We'll be right back with Camellia Petersen to talk about the Tradfluencer grift. What the hell are you talking about? And also, what are these clips that you're playing? It's Drop Dead Gorgeous, Amy J. E's. It's a movie about you. We'll be right back. Camellia.
This summer isn't about sunscreen and safe spaces. It's about liberty, laughs, and looking like a red, white, and righteous badass. Welcome to the Summer of Freedom collection. Beach towels bold enough to trigger a liberal arts professor. Tank tops louder than a 4th of July fireworks finale. And mugs that scream, "Don't tread on my caffeine." Whether you're storming the sandbar or just grilling like George Washington with a Bluetooth speaker, this is the gear that lets everyone know. You're not here to play woke. You're here to play cornhole with conviction. So crack open.
Hey guys, bonus content unlocked. Thank you, Joel Ledamore, for putting us over the top. We are now at, I think, looks like $75 exactly. 25 more to unlock the Defense Against the Dark Arts class. We'll be back with Camellia.
Depending on who you ask, America's young people are experiencing a religious revival. Gen Zers are now more likely to attend church weekly than millennials, with young men in particular leading the return to religious services. While Gen Zers are still more likely to identify as religiously unaffiliated than previous groups, there's evidence that certain kinds of religious devotion are also growing in popularity. Earlier this year, Roman Catholic dioceses around the Western world reported spikes in adult conversions. As the decline in religious attendance has slowed, the past few years have also seen a clear rise in the status of religion. It's becoming more and more socially acceptable to be religious in elite intellectual spaces, something that could have a real impact on how religion is perceived by everyone else. This is a big change from the past few decades in which internet new atheism effectively framed religion, Christianity in particular, as fundamentally anti-intellectual and subtly low class. Christians were cast as uneducated rednecks, creationists, climate change deniers, and pearl-clutching censors. This framing of the religious was obviously influenced by the backlash to George W. Bush-era conservatism. Movies like Jesus Camp and shows like 19 Kids and Counting, which portrayed evangelical fundies at their most mockable, only reinforced the impression that religion is a small-minded, bigoted, and jingoistic endeavor. These new atheists seized on the cringeworthy, distinctly lower-middle-class aesthetics of Bush-era Christianity. The aesthetics of many non-denominational evangelical churches, unadorned auditoriums, cheesy worship music, and the occasional smoke machine or pledge to the Christian flag, fit within a broader cultural language of suburban kitsch. These evangelical churches are essentially the Stanley Cups of American religion. Consumerist yet distinctly cheap feeling, appealing to a certain kind of middle-class, middle-aged woman, and a constant subject of mockery for those who see themselves as better and smarter than people like her. New atheists loved nothing more than mocking and memifying this kind of Christianity, a sentiment that rubbed off on the intelligentsia writ large. But that didn't last forever. While evangelicalism is still the most popular Protestant denomination, it's no longer the only culturally salient version of Christianity to be found. Much of this is due to how the Republican Party became less entwined with this vision of religion. When Obergefell versus Hodges took marriage equality national, conservatives no longer had a culture war issue whose arguments were almost entirely religious in nature. Then Donald Trump, hardly anyone's idea of a religious social conservative, swallowed the Republican Party whole, effectively squelching religious grandstanding about the sanctity of marriage. Abortion remained a salient issue during this time, but Trump's ambivalence made it undeniably less attractive as a hobby horse, especially given that many anti-abortion arguments can be made from a secular viewpoint. Either way, with Roe's overturn in 2022, Republicans again had a key religion-inflected cultural issue fall out of focus. In fact, the backlash to state-level abortion bans was so swift that many Republicans attempted to backpedal on the issue. In 2024, the Republican Party went so far as to ditch a call for a federal abortion ban from its platform. Of course, there are still vestiges of 2000s theocracy-inflected religious conservatism on the right. Just look at the handful of states that passed laws or mandates forcing classrooms to display the Ten Commandments or stock Bibles. But they're undeniably more of a fringe element than they used to be. Instead, the Republican Party has adopted a distinctly irreligious, distinctly mean posturing that's influenced more by Andrew Tate than Billy Graham. As a result, religious observance has less of a right-wing association. Being religious no longer means being Republican, and being Republican no longer means being religious in the Bible-thumping God warrior mode. Gone, for now at least, are the days when religion exists in pop culture purely as an anti-intellectual lower-class phenomenon. In fact, many in the intellectual class are mourning the recent decline in religious observance, and even self-described atheists are extolling the social value of religious community. I wonder if, in foregoing organized religion, an isolated country has discarded an old and proven source of ritual at a time when we most need it, Atlantic writer Derek Thompson, an agnostic, wrote last year. It took decades for Americans to lose religion. It might take decades to understand the entirety of what we lost. Even Richard Dawkins has softened his criticism of Christianity. "I call myself a cultural Christian," Dawkins said during an interview last year. It's true that statistically, the number of people who actually believe in Christianity is going down, and I'm happy with that. But I would not be happy if, for example, if we lost all our cathedrals and our beautiful parish churches. If I had to choose between Christianity and Islam, I'd choose Christianity every time. If you want an idea of how much things have changed in the cultural arena, take Wes Anderson's latest film, The Phoenician Scheme. The movie follows Zsa Korda, an ultra-wealthy, unscrupulous businessman who, upon realizing that the continual assassination attempts against him will work sooner or later, contacts his estranged daughter, Lysel, a novice nun. Zsa takes her on a trip across the Middle East in an attempt to swindle last-minute financial support from the investors of an ambitious infrastructure project. All the while, Zsa is plagued by dreams of his final judgment. God, of course, is played by Bill Murray in robed, white-bearded glory. In the world of the film, not only does God exist, but it is a very literal biblical God who rules the universe. If there's any ambiguity about whether the characters ought to take this God seriously, at the end of the movie, Zsa gets baptized and becomes a Catholic. When a skeptical Liesel warns him that the baptism doesn't work if you're lying, he replies, "I'm not lying. I'm capable of and willing to genuinely believe in the opposite of my personal convictions." I can't remember the last time I saw a film made by an ostensibly secular filmmaker for a distinctly elite and educated audience that treats religion so credulously. Plenty of films are about religion, conclave, or imply that some kind of mysterious, ineffable higher power exists, but few take place in a universe in which the Christian God is affirmed to be both real and good. I won't speculate on Anderson's own beliefs, and I don't think any kind of religious conversion is necessary for Anderson to have made what is an obviously pro-Christian film. Instead, I think The Phoenician Scheme reflects a cultural moment in which religion is having a distinctly aesthetic upgrade, something a scrupulously visual filmmaker like Anderson would be likely to capitalize upon. Religion is, in short, becoming cool again among the cultural elite. Much of this comes down to the way Catholicism, in particular, is becoming fashionable again, with many young adults citing an attraction to the aesthetics of smells and bells, high church worship. I always liked the aesthetic elements of Catholicism, one young convert told Free Press writer Madeleine Kearns, adding that she loved the architecture and the stained glass of many Catholic churches. And how much detail and symbolism was there? Even as the Tradcath resurgence remains a right-coded phenomenon, it is at the very least a fixation of the intellectual right. One can imagine Dasha Nekrasova from the Red Scare podcast becoming a traditionalist Catholic, but never a Pentecostal or Southern Baptist. It also helps that Catholicism, Orthodoxy, and other high church denominations have largely been left out of the discourse around Christian nationalism. Religion became cool again among the educated elite once it gained an association with good aesthetics, high art, and sacred music, not Bush-era Republican soft theocracy. Today, one can belong to the ideas-making class, an aspiring public intellectual or artist, and still be religious, so long as one steers clear of evangelical kitsch. Whether or not a real religious revival is underway in American public life, one thing is clear. The cool kids aren't the smug, strident atheists anymore. They're the Christians. This summer isn't about sunscreen and safe spaces. It's about liberty, laughs, and looking like a red, white, and righteous badass. Welcome to the Summer of Freedom collection. Beach towels bold enough to trigger a liberal arts professor. Tank tops louder than a 4th of July fireworks finale. And mugs that scream, "Don't tread on my caffeine." Whether you're storming the sandbar or just grilling like George Washington with a Bluetooth speaker, this is the gear that lets everyone know. You're not here to play woke. You're here to play cornhole with conviction. So crack open a cold one, fire up the freedom, and rock the merch that makes it.
But the show must get Adam out.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. If you stuck with us this morning, you've already survived the e-girl apocalypse, the Howard Stern meltdown, and the cursed revelation that diamonds are basically MLMs for men. My next guest has been warning us about this for years now, the rise of the grift economy, Tradfluencers. Joining us now, my good friend, liberty advocate, writer, and all-around truth surgeon, Camellia Petersen, and also my favorite punching bag as well. Hi, CJ.
Good morning.
Happy little merchant. CJ, I know you probably rolled your eye when you saw the story that I sent you about the right-wing e-girls and they're fighting. They're saying that somebody has AIDS, he dates a black man, is terrible. I mean, it's just a carnival of fools. But when Matt Walsh weighed in and talked about the size of your ring or the size of your diamond ring, I said, now it's a story that had legs. Before, it was just a Twitter spat, a fight between e-girls. Now it's a conversation about home economics and the cost of diamonds, whether they really are a girl's best friend. So I'll set it up for our audience, and then I want to let you go. But essentially, there's this right-wing e-girl. Her name's Sarah Stock. I have her muted because now whenever I see a new booby conservative influencer, I just mute them automatically so I don't have to listen to all that crap. But apparently she posted a photo of her wedding ring or her engagement ring. And this other influencer by the name of Emily, who's another kind of hottie that shows up at the Turning Point events that they put out on camera, the IQ of a stick, is posted about the size of her ring, was calling her poor shaming her. Some people were joining them on that one. Then another woman jumped in who calls herself an anti-Zionist. She looks like her face was carved out of wood. And she's the type to lecture us all about Israel while just being another stupid bitch that everybody is forced to listen to because somebody gave her a microphone. And all of this would be just another stupid bitch and all of stupid bitchdom. And yet now, because Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire weighs in, it's a story because this all hinges on the size of a ring. So step into the swamp, get yourself, get on Mike Moon's coveralls and step deep into the poop, the manure here, Camellia, and start digging us out. All right?
Mean, Matt Walsh and I are just like this lately. I mean, like
this. You guys, yeah. I know, for so many years, I was like, Matt Walsh, can't stand him. But lately, I'm kind of like, all right, Matt, I get you.
Oh, right. And so, no, he's absolutely right. And it is. So here's the thing. You're like, oh, we're not who watches TV anymore? And this is like the modern internet version of Jerry Springer, except we don't need Jerry Springer anymore because these people all just come together and congregate together to create the show on these platforms. And it's terrible because they are the people that tend to get elevated in conservative circles. And it's just ridiculous. So yes, all of this started over somebody with a picture of her hand in a field of flowers, and she said, "I won." but with her diamond ring, and it was a modestly sized, diamond ring. And I think that, and like that, therein started the drama because, people had to comment on the size. And so apparently size matters in more than one area. So that started this whole fracas of like girls hating on each other. And it's all of these conservative girls who have, I think, all of them have come out of the TPUSA movement. And, one of them is proudly, like her pinned post, I think, is that she's proud that she got kicked out of TPUSA because of her anti-Semitism or something.
Right. That's the chick who looks like her face was, she's got like this permanent, she's 20 years old, but she's already had more work done than like Vanna White.
Yeah, so Jamie Lee Curtis might not be wrong.
No, good point. I mean, this all kind of follows along with the thread of a lot of our discussions of what's going on. Culturally, the right is full of this kind of behavior.
Yeah.
And these people will come out of nowhere and they'll have 150,000 followers on X, 500,000 followers over on Instagram. And you're like, how did this person get so big out of nowhere? Well, it's because they're a booby influencer. There's a booby creator. There's a booby created economy. But I know you probably weren't listening to the show earlier, but I was talking about the men too, because the men are the ones who give rise to the booby influencers, aren't they?
They pay it. They are paying the currency. So they give the reward. Of course they have a part in this. The thing is it is really a grift. And they get the attention. They absolutely know what they're doing. They talk about all of these conservative traditional values, like, they want to be the tradcon wife or whatever. That's why, that's part of the virtue signaling on the right is that, I have the ring and I won because this is like the tradcon goal. But they all have their angle that they're working. They're all making money off of this. That Emily Saves America, whatever chick that's out of Los Angeles. I looked at her page just out of curiosity because she's talking about, working on policy issues or whatever in LA. And I'm like, really? You think? And so there's zero about that on her website. And it's all about selling merch. And it cracked me up because I went down and there's a little description at the bottom that talks about, she says that she's selling merchandise to empower people to make a difference. I was just like, wow, that was a really creative
my website's
way.
called The Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com. We don't pretend.
Well, at least you're offering some substantive content, and your grift shop supports that substantive content.
It's true. We are like literally hours away from our second children's book that's going to be dropping here soon.
I'm so excited.
I am too. This one we've been working on for a while, and I think Calvin the Coolest President, when it dropped last year or the year before, people were like kind of expecting it. It's obvious, but not a lot of people really know about Grover Cleveland and why he was one of the most libertarian presidents. And we looked, there are no children's books about Grover Cleveland. No. So we found some of his cooler stories that we thought kids would really be interested in. The secret boat ride that he took, and certain other stories about gold, for example, that we managed to condense. Because a lot of children's books too, we look at, and they're way over our kids' heads. It's like talking about the Federal Reserve and inflation to like 7-year-olds. I'm like, bro, you dumb it down a little bit. So we made it fun, and I think the kids will like it. But I do think, for me, I use the grift shop as an ironic joke. I get accused of being a grifter, but if you go and you look at my pages, you'll see substance, you'll see content, you'll see people, us talking about educational issues. The educational issues will get 500 views, but so what do I have to do? I have to use the conservative e-girls as a hook. But it is a discussion. The real discussion is the diamond rings. Camellia,
Sure.
Did you always know that diamond rings were the real grift coming from the De Beers Diamond Corporation, that these things aren't really all that rare, and that now lab-grown diamonds look even more beautiful, cost less?
Sure.
How do you feel about the whole the size of the diamond equation?
think it's ludicrous. I think there are so many things that come down from tradition that were just started by somebody somewhere, and it was usually somebody wealthy because that's what they did, and everybody else decided, oh, that's what we have to do too, and it becomes tradition. And some of these traditions start with corporations, right? They start with companies. And so, yes, like I think it's, I don't think it's a whole lot different than saying, oh, you have to have a white wedding dress and a big wedding and all this kind of stuff. Like it's all commercialized. It's all overdone. It's all just, somebody's idea of the way things should be. And I'm a big fan of do what you want when it comes to wedding rings. And so there were some people, who were posting online in response to this about the different types of stones they used in their wedding rings or their engagement rings, whatever. And so I love it when people are creative with that. And I think that, there's, people then kind of have this discussion about, well, why do we need wedding rings at all? And like, blah, 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 blah. Like there are some good reasons, I think, for that. But what that looks like, I mean, it may be a silicone band for some men, right? It could just be, and it doesn't have to be anything extravagant for women either. And to think that we had this as a litmus test for men. Do you remember like what they said the average cost of a wedding, an engagement ring is for men, that what they should aim to meet? It was like, I can't remember, it was like 2 or 3 months worth of salary. And to me, that's just crazy. And how many people have lost wedding rings or engagement bands, or they've lost the stones out of them? And to me, it's just, you're throwing money away. I can't remember how Matt Walsh phrased it now, but he was like, if you're, like spending all of this money, he was like, you're not, doing anything smart. He was like, you're being a moron. I'm like, yes.
No, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. The problem is that it is so, it's been embraced by our society. It's kind of like circumcision. Nobody knows why we do it, but we just continue to do it anyway. It's a tradition. It's something that goes back to what? It's not even that far back. It's like the early 1900s, because from, time immemorial before that, people couldn't afford these expensive jewels for rings. This was something that the elite that would do, like kings and queens and princes. But now suddenly it's like for women to get married, it's a birthright, right? So much has changed with dating, mating, marriage culture in just the last 100 years. I'm shocked that anybody can make it happen at all. So it's no wonder that these girls are ripping each other's hair out, because the competition, the intra-sex competition is hell. I mean, you think intersex competition in other ways is bad, but intra-sex competition, females for like eligible males, because as you and I have talked about for now 3 years on this stinking show, Camellia, as women's desires have gotten, higher and higher, the amount of men that are available that can meet those desires is smaller and smaller, which of course means it's like being the last monkey at the watering hole that's full of crocodiles. Of course they're fighting like hell. They're flinging feces at each other and murdering each other, because they're all like the pool of available men who can actually meet these women's needs and desires is infinitesimally small, which is why Sarah, when she posted her wedding ring, she said, I won, because it is a fight.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that it is, and especially on the right, I mean, that's become like the goal is to, get a man who will take care of you and buy you a big ring and, support you, even though you're continuing to support yourself, through your online posting, pictures and cleavage shots and everything else, even though you have men. So one of the jokes not jokes, but one of the things that you'll see in response to a lot of this in the red pill community, it'll be like, notice there's no fiance or husband in the picture, right? It's always just the picture of the ring or the hand or her, right? Or whatever. Like the man is never in the picture. And I'm thinking like the men probably don't really most of the time want to be in the picture, baby. But this whole thing, because it's become kind of an epidemic on the right. I mean, the issues with crazy people in politics is not just a problem on the left. Like it is a problem on the right too. We elevate the worst among us, it seems like, as icons of conservatism. And when I was looking at all of this yesterday go by, and so many of these women come out of TPUSA, I always thought about what my dad would say when I was a kid. So he's a pastor, and he would always say, what you win them with is what you win them to.
Yes.
And so it is like at TPUSA, like there was drama even just this year about how that they were platforming all of these women when they had like this women in leadership conference. And there's like, the porn star who just, found Jesus, like less than a year before they had her on. But you know what? She didn't take time to reflect and, get herself out of the public eye since I think she got married too. Maybe she, had to immediately go out
to
there.
A new subscription service.
Yes.
It used to be tits, but now it's Bible tits.
So I just they, I think everybody's like, and this has actually been a problem, I think, in modern Christianity too, especially evangelical Christianity, is that there's been this real tendency to want to elevate these super dramatic redemption stories. Mm-hmm. And there is a downside to that. And so that it elevates people who, it kind of normalizes some of that behavior because, kids think, okay, I can do that because I can always come back. So, I'll go out and sow my wild oats and that's all right. But I really do think that when the really prominent conservative organizations on the right, when they platform all of these kind of people and they normalize this, they don't elevate the people who are actually walking the walk and doing the work. And so that's what they end up, the narrative becomes about. The narrative is constant drama, and the people who are supposed to be demonstrating these values end up being these e-girls on the right that everybody then is talking about.
I saw someone say this on X, that Pearl Davis is what happens when you let the algorithm raise your daughter. Is that fair?
I mean, yes. So I have Pearl muted. I will
you
say
always
that,
disliked her. I always loved her because I just see her as kind of like, I don't know. It's like the villain in like professional wrestling, where she like plays the villain, but also sometimes she's kind of slips into the role of referee. Like she goes in there and she'll stir stuff up, and then she'll come in and then she'll kind of oversee the fight. But she kind of asks questions that need to be asked and says things that need to be said in the most hateful, horrible, like awful, evil, vindictive ways. But it just makes me laugh because, as I've said before to you, and said many times on the show, for those who watch the show regularly, you probably have heard me say this. It's just that Pearl never takes men's side. Or excuse me, she never takes women's side. Never. It could be the most awful, horrible, heinous Jeffrey Dahmer eating the woman's body, whatever, and she would say that she was asking for it. And honestly, the reason why I love that is because women then, with Pearl, women get to experience what men experience every single day when we watch television news. If you happen to catch a clip of Oprah, or if they're ever talking about men in society, we are always the bad guy. The white men are always stupid in commercials. And we're insulted constantly all day long. So I love just watching Pearl. She's like an insult comic. She's insulting females. And I honestly think it's something of a public service. I'll be real with you. Her being a disgusting
I did go for the first time in a very long time and looked at her page because I knew she was like in the mix here somewhere. So she was definitely in the mix and stirring the pot, and of course had all of the usual things to say. I will say, like, part of the reason, not only just because it's annoying, I think she's terrible a lot of the times, is that it is kind of like the same old shtick over and over and over again, right? And it's really not original to Pearl. It really, a lot of those talking points come from the red pill masculinity movement. And they're the people who are really providing actual substantive content in the red pill movement actually really don't like Pearl.
Well, speaking of content, when like the difference, the next question about this is about the substance here. You're getting substance on this show because these girls haven't read To Kill a Mockingbird, because one of the big undertones of this discussion is the casual racism of Pearl dates black men and is therefore cast out from the community and was not even inferred or implied, just stated directly, you probably have AIDS because you date black men.
This is
still a no-no in the conservative community, dating the black man.
Well, and I don't think that it's always been that way. I think this is this disturbing trend. I think this is this disturbing trend we're seeing of coming back over to that side of the
always been there, pendulum. I think people are just more emboldened to say how.
Well, yes,
felt.
like it's maybe always been there, but it hasn't been like normalized to the point where people felt comfortable saying these things out loud online, and they get applauded for it. But whether you're talking about anti-Semitism, whether you're talking about racism, there's like all of those things. All of a sudden, it's like more socially acceptable for some reason on the right to talk about those things right now. And this is, and a lot of the people who talk about that kind of stuff are TPUSA adjacent. So this is, that is really, I think, a big problem. And maybe it is, I don't know, maybe it is kind of a natural ebb and flow of things. I mean, I don't remember if I sent you this, but there was an article from Southwest Missouri just the other day that some white nationalist group is coming to set up a camp or something, in Southwest Missouri because they're spreading their movement across the country. And it's just like they're okay with saying it. They don't care. Like it's just the racism is right out there in the open. And so I think that is really unfortunate on the right that we are elevating those kind of things. But I do think to a certain extent, when it comes to like the anti-Semitism that plays into that, it's reactionary, right? All of this stuff is reactionary. It's about
who has the bigger, who can say the edgier thing.
Sure.
Online. It's.
And I think this is the way. This is kids like these days. Like I think this is also kids' way of like pushing back and being rebellious because, for example, like with Israel, like
their parents and their grandparents were always very obedient and supplicant, and they're tired of it. They're for America first, and because they see Nick Fuentes and the Groypers having fun, and everybody the Groypers are the equivalent of the conservative e-girls. Grifters who are the mean girls. The Groypers are the male equivalent of such. They all need to just get together and get laid because then they will finally shut the hell up. Last question for you before I go, because Daniela's coming up. She's a former TPUSA. Maybe she can comment on it. Last question is, how do you spot the difference, Camellia, from real content, the difference between real content and then clout bait? Like, what are the red flags people should be looking for watching an influencer accounts? Is it just boobies or something else?
Oh, well, you know what? Here's the thing. I think that especially for women, and I think most of the clout bait does, let's be real, come from women. I think from men, when you see it coming from men, it is very much, on the right, it's the very pro-Trump can do no wrong type of stuff, right? Or it's a big dramatic breaking story or whatever that really is not. But for women, the red flags for using everything for clout is if you are selling, if you're selling conservative values, like you're doing some pose, like the anti-Semitic girl, she was like, Christ is king, but she's in a little crop top.
And the Jews are the reason for, they're all, you know what it is? They're all fishing for husbands, Camellia. They're all lonely. They're all horny.
Yeah.
They're single and 10 miles from your community. Click on this ad.
If you have to tell everybody constantly and post pictures that, you're a good conservative Christian girl, you're probably not.
Yeah, thank you, Camellia. Very well done. If you're a conservative e-girl booby influencer who dates black men with AIDS and playing finger games in public at TPUSA conferences wearing your tiny wedding rings because you're poor and you hate Zionism and are embracing merch to empower Americans, then Rare Camellia's segment, if you missed it, you're just tuning in, was look at her face.
A word for the boys out there, like, don't lose hope. Like, there are actually decent girls and women out there. You just have to don't look at the online influencers. Run from the online influencers. Stop rewarding them. If you are rewarding the online influencers, you are just being a simp. Quit it.
No, they're all like that. I'm sorry to say, it's a sad state of affairs. Except for Camellia, her and Daniela Pensac coming up. She's probably, what the hell's going on? Camellia, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We'll see you next Tuesday. Actually, everybody in the chat wants to see you Friday night. I have to ask you a favor. I won't put you on the spot here, but we got a little Friday night thing going on, and everybody kind of wants to hear from you. So if you're free, we'll talk about it later, okay? If you're not...
Okay, I'll try.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Okay.
Pat. Go Muskies, woo!
There they are. The conservative e-girls all competing. That movie was drop dead gorgeous. So like I said, if you're a conservative e-girl booby influencer, if you date black men with AIDS, if you play finger games in public at Turning Point conferences, if you wear tiny wedding rings, if you're poor, if you hate Zionism, right, or if you're embracing merch to empower Americans, then you're in the right place. It's the Wake Up America show, baby. We've only got $20 left to go to raise to unlock today's bonus content. And today's Defense Against the Dark Arts class will be taught not by me, but we actually have a guest professor. Do not miss this opportunity, guys. Drop some Rumble rants or go to forlibertyshop.com. Head to the Grift Shop, where all conservative e-girl boobies streamers go shop at thegriftshop.com. Grab yourself a box of delicious Grifty coffee. Get yourself a Grifty t-shirt. And maybe, ladies, you can just, we have some V-necks for you, some lovely V-necks. If you feel the need to try and attract a man, just make sure that you're wearing the cross between those lovely Grand Titans. And it's the Wake Up America show. In just a few minutes, we're going to speak to a former TP USAer herself. I don't know if she's going to comment on this. I follow her Instagram, which is a great account, Daniela Pensac, and I think that she's feeling very just flabbergasted or flustered by all of the conservative e-girl drama going on. You know what? She got herself a good man and she got married, and she didn't necessarily feel the need to virtue signal it. So we're going to talk to her maybe about that if she's willing, maybe if she's maybe not if she's not. We're going to hear from Daniela Pensac in 1 minute, 60 seconds. We'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show. Don't go away. Go to the For Liberty shop at thegriftshop.com. We'll be right back.
This summer isn't about sunscreen and safe spaces. It's about liberty, laughs, and looking like a red, white, and righteous badass. Welcome to the Summer of Freedom collection. Beach towels bold enough to trigger a liberal arts professor. Tank tops louder than a 4th of July fireworks finale. And mugs that scream, "Don't tread on my caffeine." Whether you're storming the sandbar or just grilling like George Washington with a Bluetooth speaker, this is the gear that lets everyone know. You're not here to play woke. You're here to play cornhole with conviction. So crack open a cold one, fire up the freedom. All right,
welcome back, Daniela Pensac, guys. She was live waiting there the whole time. So she said on her Instagram that she may not want to talk about it, but something might have changed her mind, and that's that everybody wants to talk about the conservative e-girl booby influencer drama happening on right now. I didn't think it was really a topic that I would cover on a show like this, but then once the size of the ring conversation, Daniela, came in, and then I remembered you also got flack for just posting your wedding photos and things like that. People are like, grifting. And it's like, there is intersex competition on the female conservative right these days. It's a matter of tooth and claw, is it not?
Yeah, it's absolutely wild, Austin. And, I don't recall posting my engagement ring. I think I may have on a close friend story on Instagram. But, it's not something that I really wanted to come out and talk about when I was engaged. Obviously, I'm not as big as Sarah Stock, but I did post some wedding pictures at one point, I think, a little bit, not even a lot, just a few here and there. And people lost their minds. It went, I wouldn't say it went viral, but it was one of my most engaged posts, interestingly enough. And it's just, again, it's just one of those things that gets people talking and interested. And it's quite unfortunate. And the intersex competition is wild out there. So if you're a female, you want to engage in these spaces, especially politically, get ready for some fights in the mud, I suppose.
Is Turning Point USA, is that a good place to meet a husband? Is that a good place to meet a man, Daniela, would you say?
That's a really good question, Austin. I don't know if I'm going to give the seal of approval, and that's funny coming from me because I met my present husband at Turning Point actually through work.
Your present husband, good. Your present.
Yeah, presently.
Not the one who's not present.
But yeah, it was, and no, we got married pretty fast. I think we were together long distance just for a year. I don't want to give out too much personal information, but but I mean that's sort of my story. But I really don't want to say this because, it just sounds false. It sounds fake when I say I think we were the exception, because I hear a lot of stories regarding Turning Point events. And let me tell you, Austin, Turning Point events, everyone knows them. They're huge. It's fun. It's like a modern day political bacchanalia. In every sense of the word, because there's a lot of stories out there where, even underage girls and boys go, and there's like some, iffy stuff happening in these events. And I'm not, trying to allege anything drastic, but I have seen it with my own
things drastic. I mean, I can
say
say allegedly, but from the ex posts, they say things like there is pedophilia that goes on, that older, rich, conservative male donors take lots of young, underage, conservative male boys up to their hotel rooms and their suites. That's what's being alleged. I'm not saying that that's true, but I'm saying that I have read that online. And knowing the behavior of the elites as I know them, Daniela, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't surprise me. So, I mean, to hear something like that, obviously that's much more serious than what these girls are accusing each other of, like Pearl Davis, who's obviously kind of the poopster in all of this one. But but it all started because when Sarah Stock posted the photo of her ring, she said, "I won." So it just goes to show that she really was kind of shoving it in other people's faces with the whole "I won." This was because when someone wins, it's not always, but in many cases, someone else loses. I mean, dating, marriage, it is a zero-sum game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to put it. Personally, I wouldn't have captioned it that way. I don't know what was the intention behind that. It seemed like sort of like a haphazard post that she's written. I think it's kind of silly just to say I won with just a picture, with like a modest ring. It's a nice ring. I'm not gonna talk negatively about the ring here. But it's just wild to see like something a post like that honestly is, I don't think necessary to have gone viral, has started this sort of intra-sex competition. And I'm not going to be a conspiratard right now, but I don't want to. I'll always go down that route regardless. I don't know if this was like the fighting online, just the amount of fighting that this has caused makes me think almost like it looks like that it's not, kind of like staged or planned.
Almost like it's a psyop, right?
Almost like it's a psyop, because, and this is why what I've written on Instagram and Twitter is like, I refuse to talk about it. I want to talk about other things, because for the last 3 days, this happened on Sunday, and it's now Thursday, and people are still talking about it. And it's like, other things are happening in the news. And so when I, did Cultura, I didn't want to even talk about that, but it is one of those things that does generate interest, and these are the things that people want to talk about, I guess. But it almost feels like a psyop.
I would love to sit down with you, Daniela, and go through archetypes and have you discuss to me all the things that I love reading on your Substack, by the way. You're a tremendous writer, and you always make me think, and your writing style is so different from the way other people write, and so it's a really enjoyable read. I highly recommend it. For those who haven't subscribed to Daniela's Substack, please do so. And if you're not watching her show Culturama, you guys are missing out big time. It's Tuesdays and Thursday nights, 7 to 9 p.m. It's here on Rumble, rumble.com/Culturama. But unfortunately, what you and I realize, and what you are realizing now more and more as you have stepped into the content game, Daniela, is that you can't just talk about what you want to talk about, because there's almost never an audience necessarily for the things that are the esoteric intellectual interests of people like ourselves. We got to talk about Bibles and boobs.
Right.
Which Bibles would be fine, but when you mix the Bibles and the boobs, it's a volatile cocktail, right? When you go to the Turning Point USA, there's like a bingo card people usually have, and one of the spots on the bingo card is always an American flag and a cross draped between lovely cleavage, because the religion is also part of the grift, is it not, Daniela? I mean, you're a religious person, but you're probably pretty good at spotting it. The whole, I'm a Christian while I show my boobs thing, it is a very popular grift. And the simps that fall for it are also part of the problem, are they not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone that falls for it and participates, I think, is, I suppose, technically part of the problem. But yeah, like religiosity is a big aspect of being a right-wing influencer, at least right now. It's sort of like going on the trend of going further into traditionalism within the conservative movement. And, it's just one of those things, especially if you're a conservative female, you have to talk about that. And I guess being Catholic is like necessarily one of those things. I know Sarah Stock's Catholic. A lot of these people that are participating in this discourse right now are Catholic, or at least
a lot of them have like joined the church like the last 6 months to a year.
And that's what's weird, is that like a lot of them have just I don't want to talk too negatively about Sarah Stock. I had her on my show before, but she did just recently join Catholicism, and like a lot of these people, it seems like have just started joining. You're absolutely right. So it's quite interesting how all of a sudden, they're coming into the fray. And all of this stuff is happening. And they're getting engaged and all these things. And things can happen fast, but you just have to be. I think we have to be selective in the people that we listen to, and you have to come at it assuming that they're not always going to be authentic. And I'm not saying Sarah Stock isn't necessarily authentic in her beliefs, or some of these other e-girls, but it's just something to be skeptical about.
Absolutely. If you're just tuning in, we're speaking to Daniela Pensack. We hired her for her mind here at the For Liberty Network. She's also got her own discussion page over on our Discord server where you guys can vote for the Defense Against the Dark Arts class. Thanks to Ike giving a shits over in the chat. He donated $5. That puts us at $95 raised for the show. $5 more and you'll unlock our bonus content. 5 for Daniela is amazing. And Austin hit the over on Boobies Bingo. Thank you, Ike. Sexuality and dating and marriage, these are topics that everybody has some interest in the outcome of as we talk about things like civilizational collapse due to low birth rates. What I've been reading lately is that marriage rates have actually been going up, Daniela, but birth rates have been falling. And I can't really see many other explanations. There are a few, but many other explanations for the fact that when you look at the third world is fertile. The first world is not. And doesn't a lot of this have to do with, not to be a jerk or anything, but with female education, more women going into the workforce? If more women are getting educated at higher levels and going into the workforce, there's not as much time for having babies. Isn't a lot of this problem that we actually have fake traditional conservative influencers and not enough women are actually being conservative, staying home, taking care of kids?
That's certainly one aspect and element of it. That's the one that a lot of people are, I think, pointing towards because it's a more spicier topic. And upon looking into it and thinking about it, I will say that perhaps is an element, especially with first world countries, more developed countries. Birth rates typically, slow down a little bit. But I would also say it doesn't halt just for that reason. I think there are multiple reasons for this. And this is also, I think, one of those natural ebb and flows of civilizational progress or development, particularly, in stages of further stages of development. I think particularly in the US, it is also due to other variants like economic variants and more so cultural diversity as well. There's some evidence to suggest that if a country is more culturally diverse, the host peoples will birth less. But of course, I think that also comes with natural ebb and flows as well. I think that within the next 20 years or so, I think birth rates are going to be projected to increase again, especially with so-called host peoples, because birth rates are increasing with other culture or other cultures and groups and demographics here in the United States as well, particularly with immigrants coming in. So I think it remains to be seen. I think that people also, it is just like a spicy talking point. It's one of those things I think that really gets the conversation going. So I'm not like going to doom spiral about it. I've been seeing a lot of right-wing people doom spiral because it is a hefty talking point. I think a lot of this is exaggerated, but again, I could be wrong on this. That's just my prediction.
Daniela Pensack, I would agree with you on that prediction. And it must be a challenge because I know, like, within you, Daniela, I see so much conflict on this question, because obviously you're a very intelligent woman, you're very educated, but you also have traditional values, and marriage is important to you, and building a family and building a life. I mean, talk to us a little bit about that conflict that you feel. I mean, do you regret getting a higher education? Would you change it if you could? Would you run completely into the arms of a ballerina farm, into a situation where you didn't have to live in the real? Would you prefer to run away from the digital world entirely, or do you feel like you're also kind of married to the screen?
Married to the screen. That's funny. Well, internet communication is just one of those things today that we cannot really divorce ourselves from if you want to take part really in anything. I think that another element I forgot to mention is people say it has to do with the woman being educated. I even don't think it has to do with women being educated. I think it has more to do with financial independence, which, women have more of an inclination towards these days anyway. But do I regret getting education? Absolutely not. I've always been an academic. I think if everyone looks at my writings and sees what I do there, they'll see that I'm naturally inclined towards that way. What I do think the problem is that there is perhaps a problem of especially with the universalized education that's happening in the United States and has happened in the United States, which initially was good, but obviously access to education is necessary, especially for a developed country, for all peoples, but it's the universalized expectation of people, which is the problem. We've been teaching for the last few generations of Americans that everyone should go to college, and I've always been pretty clear about this on my show and in my writings that this is certainly not the case, and a lot of people are becoming aware of this as well, is that not everyone's inclined towards going to college and necessarily being an academic or even getting into white collar fields. And so what I have suggested, and what I'm now seeing more people suggest, more conservatives than progressives, but that is that I particularly think a lot of these issues stem from early childhood education. I think that if we tailor education for each child depending on their talents, what we will see naturally is that I would say maybe 60% of females will be more inclined towards homemaking or more administrative roles in society, which could be low, say lower income, but we need those roles, right? And I think that if we see and understand that everyone's different, and I typically say it's archetypes, but whatever. But if we do see people are different, young men and young women, I think that we will fill some of those gaps that we are experiencing right now, and that we don't have to necessarily have everyone go to college. So do I regret going to college? Absolutely not. I appreciate education and academia, actually. But not everyone does, and that's totally fine. And, maybe there are some women out there that do regret it. I don't know if you see it, Austin, but there's a lot of TikTok now. And I don't know if this is accurate or not, whether girls are just doing this to get clicks and views, but I've been seeing TikToks of women saying they even regret going to college or going to med school. They'd rather be stay-at-home moms. And
I've seen it. Yeah. I believe them.
Yeah. I guess so.
I absolutely believe
that is a problem of a nation, like I said, where we have universalized expectation of people, and that's a problem.
Oh, you know what, Daniela? You probably nailed it right there. You nailed it right there. It's the universalized expectations on people, but probably what we need to do is to have managed expectations for people. If you look at people truly as individuals, some people have the capacity to do certain things, and some people simply don't. And maybe Woodrow Wilson is right. We need a formalized education of one class for elites, and then an education for the idiots and the retards who work with their hands. Just kidding. I don't want to sound like an elitist, arrogant bastard here. Daniela, this is really good commentary. Tonight's Thursday night, which means Culturama. What are you talking about tonight? E-girl, booby, influencer stuff, or?
Yeah, I might, I might have to, if that's what's going to really draw the people in. I've been talking about more conspiratorial topics, some might say. I've been talking about fluoride in the water the last few episodes. The last episode I was talking about the global dominance that's happening in the UK. I'm sorry, the global Illuminati takeover of the UK, trying to take over their communications online. But
I'll spare people the listening telling the ending. It's all the Jews. Everything it ends up the Jews. If you follow the fluoride, Epstein Islands.
To that conclusion, but you said it, not me.
Who sank the Lusitania in World War I? If you look back to it, it's the Jews. Although, actually, these days, you might want to look into this. I saw a really funny meme yesterday that showed the head of some of the biggest banks in the world, and they were all Irish. And you know that merchant, the happy merchant, where it's like the Jewish conspiracy guy? Yeah. I saw a really good one. It was really an Irish guy with red hair and really bad teeth. And so you might want to look into the Irish conspiracy as well. Daniela Pensac tonight, rumble.com/Culturama. Everybody give it up. We'll be watching. We'll be there. Thank you, Daniela, for all you do for freedom. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Austin.
Thank you. Have a good one. Daniela Pensac. We like her for her mind. I hope you don't mind. Guys, not much left to go, but you've done it. We've reached that special part of the show where things just get a little bit weird and a whole lot magical. Thanks to your support. Defense Against the Dark Arts. Now, for those of you who are new, this is where we don't just fight bad policy or mock the regime. This is where we teach you how to recognize the subtle and powerful spells that the state casts to control your mind, your morals, and your money. And since I, Austin Petersen, am technically unlicensed in the arcane arts of moral propaganda, I'm actually going to be turning things over today to our guest lecturer. He's a magical baby dragon. He's been banned from the Hogwarts Teachers Union for refusing to wear a mask. Sounds like a great guy. He eats bureaucrats for breakfast and poops economic analysis. Please stand by as I magically transform into Professor Scorchius von Mises. Here we go. Welcome, my brave and curious pupils. I am Professor Scorchius von Mises, first of my name, defender of natural rights, and the only creature in the realm with tenure at both the Austrian school and the School of Fire-Breathing Rebuttals. Today's lesson is about a spell so deviously kind, so insidiously soft, that most never notice. The Compassion Curse. What is the Compassion Curse? The Compassion Curse is not shouted. It is whispered. It says, if you cared, you'd comply. Don't be selfish. Think of the greater good. Only a monster would question this mandate. It is emotional blackmail, disguised as morality. It doesn't appeal to your reason. It hijacks your guilt. This is not kindness. This is coercion with a hug. How the curse is cast. This spell has been practiced by tyrants in velvet robes for centuries. Step 1. Define compassion as obedience. If you comply, you're a good person. If you dissent, you're a monster. Step 2. Use vulnerable victims as human shields. They bring out a child, a nurse, a sob story, and behind that, a 600-page spending bill, a speech code, a surveillance drone. Step 3. Enforce with shame, not guns. You're not jailed, you're exiled, cancelled, socially, economically, digitally. The compassion curse is how they turned neighbors into enforcers, parents into mask police, and churches into snitch lines. Step 3. Case studies in compassion. Let us examine some of the most dangerous applications of this curse. COVID lockdowns. If it saves one life, but how many lives were ruined by job loss, isolation, and untreated illness, students? School closures. We must protect the children, but children weren't at risk. They were used as moral shields to protect teachers' unions. You don't care about the earth? You don't share our climate panic? No, I just don't want to give the UN access to my thermostat. Every time you hear, if you cared, you'd support this, ask, is this real care or just cover for control? How to break the compassion curse. Now, here is the defense spell you must learn. Discernitus voluntarius. To break the curse, you must remember 3 truths. Real compassion is voluntary. If it's not your choice, it's not your virtue. Good intentions are not the same as good outcomes, no matter how many tears are cried on television. Emotional stories do not justify moral theft. The moment someone says, just this once, the state hears, forever. The final lesson. I may be small, I may be scaly, but I have witnessed empires fall to this curse. Not with swords, not with dragons, but with feelings, weaponized as law. So the next time a politician cries on cue, the next time a public health official says, do it for others, the greater good, and the next time your neighbor says, why won't you just go along? Look them in the eyes and say, I will never use force to prove that I care, and then walk away. Because the most compassionate thing you can do in a broken society is to stay free enough to fix it. That concludes today's lesson. I've been Professor Scorchius von Mises, and now I shall return to my cave for a nap, some gold hoarding, and an unregulated pipe of dragon root tobacco. Until next time, may your heart be kind, but may your spine be made of steel. Class dismissed. Well, guys, thank you so very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our guest professor here today to teach the Defense Against the Dark Arts class. That segment will continue to be upgraded as long as you continue unlocking that bonus content. We have hundreds of guest professors lined up. Each day can be a new professor, but if you have some guest professors that you preferred, you would like to see come back, you can also specially request them. That was all because of the bonus content that you guys unlocked. Thank you for your financial contributions. Professor Scorchius von Mises appreciates it. My mother thanks you. My father thanks you. My sister thanks you. My redheaded libertarian wife thanks you. Don't forget, as you exit through the Grift Shop today at thegriftshop.com. We'll see you guys right back again here tomorrow on the Wake Up America Show's Freedom Family Friday. I hope you guys are a little wiser and a little bit more free. Have a wonderful day. Take care.
Depending on who you ask, America's young people are experiencing a religious revival. Gen Zers are now more likely to attend church weekly than millennials, with young men in particular leading the return to religious services. While Gen Zers are still more likely to identify as religiously unaffiliated than previous groups, there's evidence that certain kinds of religious devotion are also growing in popularity. Earlier this year, Roman Catholic dioceses around the Western world reported spikes in adult conversions. As the decline in religious attendance has slowed, the past few years have also seen a clear rise in the status of religion. It's becoming more and more socially acceptable to be religious in elite intellectual spaces, something that could have a real impact on how religion is perceived by everyone else. This is a big change from the past few decades in which internet new atheism effectively framed religion, Christianity in particular, as fundamentally anti-intellectual and subtly low class. Christians were cast as uneducated rednecks, creationists, climate change deniers, and pearl-clutching censors. This framing of the religious was obviously influenced by the backlash to George W. Bush-era conservatism. Movies like Jesus Camp and shows like 19 Kids and Counting, which portrayed evangelical fundies at their most mockable, only reinforced the impression that religion is a small-minded, bigoted, and jingoistic endeavor. These new atheists seized on the cringeworthy, distinctly lower-middle-class aesthetics of Bush-era Christianity. The aesthetics of many non-denominational evangelical churches, unadorned auditoriums, cheesy worship music, and the occasional smoke machine or pledge to the Christian flag, fit within a broader cultural language of suburban kitsch. These evangelical churches are essentially the Stanley Cups of American religion. Consumerist yet distinctly cheap feeling, appealing to a certain kind of middle-class, middle-aged woman, and a constant subject of mockery for those who see themselves as better and smarter than people like her. New atheists loved nothing more than mocking and memifying this kind of Christianity, a sentiment that rubbed off on the intelligentsia writ large. But that didn't last forever. While evangelicalism is still the most popular Protestant denomination, it's no longer the only culturally salient version of Christianity to be found. Much of this is due to how the Republican Party became less entwined with this vision of religion. When Obergefell vs. Hodges took marriage equality national, conservatives no longer had a culture war issue whose arguments were almost entirely religious in nature. Then Donald Trump, hardly anyone's idea of a religious social conservative, swallowed the Republican Party whole, effectively squelching religious grandstanding about the sanctity of marriage. Abortion remained a salient issue during this time, but Trump's ambivalence made it undeniably less attractive as a hobby horse, especially given that many anti-abortion arguments can be made from a secular viewpoint. Either way, with Roe's overturn in 2022, Republicans again had a key religion-inflected cultural issue fall out of focus. In fact, the backlash to state-level abortion bans was so swift that many Republicans attempted to backpedal on the issue. In 2024, the Republican Party went so far as to ditch a call for a federal abortion ban from its platform. Of course, there are still vestiges of 2000s theocracy-inflected religious conservatism on the right. Just look at the handful of states that passed laws or mandates forcing classrooms to display the Ten Commandments or stock Bibles. But they're undeniably more of a fringe element than they used to be. Instead, the Republican Party has adopted a distinctly irreligious, distinctly mean posturing that's influenced more by Andrew Tate than Billy Graham. As a result, religious observance has less of a right-wing association. Being religious no longer means being Republican, and being Republican no longer means being religious in the Bible-thumping God warrior mode. Gone, for now at least, are the days when religion exists in pop culture purely as an anti-intellectual lower-class phenomenon. In fact, many in the intellectual class are mourning the recent decline in religious observance, and even self-described atheists are extolling the social value of religious community. I wonder if, in foregoing organized religion, an isolated country has discarded an old and proven source of ritual at a time when we most need it, Atlantic writer Derek Thompson, an agnostic, wrote last year. It took decades for Americans to lose religion. It might take decades to understand the entirety of what we lost. Even Richard Dawkins has softened his criticism of Christianity. "I call myself a cultural Christian," Dawkins said during an interview last year. It's true that statistically, the number of people who actually believe in Christianity is going down, and I'm happy with that. But I would not be happy if, for example, if we lost all our cathedrals and our beautiful parish churches. If I had to choose between Christianity and Islam, I'd choose Christianity every time. If you want an idea of how much things have changed in the cultural arena, Take Wes Anderson's latest film, The Phoenician Scheme. The movie follows Zsa Korda, an ultra-wealthy, unscrupulous businessman who, upon realizing that the continual assassination attempts against him will work sooner or later, contacts his estranged daughter, Lysel, a novice nun. Zsa takes her on a trip across the Middle East in an attempt to swindle last-minute financial support from the investors of an ambitious infrastructure project. All the while, Zsa is plagued by dreams of his final judgment. God, of course, is played by Bill Murray in robed, white-bearded glory. In the world of the film, not only does God exist, but it is a very literal biblical God who rules the universe. If there's any ambiguity about whether the characters ought to take this God seriously, at the end of the movie, Zsa gets baptized and becomes a Catholic. When a skeptical Liesel warns him that the baptism doesn't work if you're lying, he replies, "I'm not lying. I'm capable of and willing to genuinely believe in the opposite of my personal convictions." I can't remember the last time I saw a film made by an ostensibly secular filmmaker for a distinctly elite and educated audience that treats religion so credulously. Plenty of films are about religion, conclave, or imply that some kind of mysterious, ineffable higher power exists, but few take place in a universe in which the Christian God is affirmed to be both real and good. I won't speculate on Anderson's own beliefs, and I don't think any kind of religious conversion is necessary for Anderson to have made what is an obviously pro-Christian film. Instead, I think The Phoenician Scheme reflects a cultural moment in which religion is having a distinctly aesthetic upgrade, something a scrupulously visual filmmaker like Anderson would be likely to capitalize upon. Religion is, in short, becoming cool again among the cultural elite. Much of this comes down to the way Catholicism, in particular, is becoming fashionable again, with many young adults citing an attraction to the aesthetics of smells and bells, high church worship. I always liked the aesthetic elements of Catholicism, one young convert told Free Press writer Madeleine Kearns, adding that she loved the architecture and the stained glass of many Catholic churches. And how much detail and symbolism was there? Even as the Tradcath resurgence remains a right-coded phenomenon, it is at the very least a fixation of the intellectual right. One can imagine Dasha Nekrasova from the Red Scare podcast becoming a traditionalist Catholic, but never a Pentecostal or Southern Baptist. It also helps that Catholicism, Orthodoxy, and other high church denominations have largely been left out of the discourse around Christian nationalism. Religion became cool again among the educated elite once it gained an association with good aesthetics, high art, and sacred music, not Bush-era Republican soft theocracy. Today, one can belong to the ideas-making class, an aspiring public intellectual or artist, and still be religious, so long as one steers clear of evangelical kitsch. Whether or not a real religious revival is underway in American public life, one thing is clear. The cool kids aren't the smug, strident atheists anymore. They're the Christians.